Chapter 6. Use of the Will. In the practice of the science of being well, the will is not used to compel yourself to go when you are not really able to go, or to do things when you are not physically strong enough to do them. I repeat, you are not to drive yourself to work when you are genuinely unable, nor to strain your physical strength by commanding your organs or functions with sheer determination. You do not direct your will upon your physical body, or try to compel the proper performance of internal function by willpower. You direct the will upon the mind, and use it in determining what you shall believe, what you shall think, and to what you shall give your attention. The will should never be used on anyone or anything outside yourself, and never on your own body. The sole legitimate use of the will is in determining to what you shall give your attention, and what you shall think about the things to which your attention is given. All belief begins in the will to believe. You cannot always and instantly believe what you will to believe, but you can always choose to will what you want to believe. You want to believe truth about health, and you can will to do so. The statements you've been reading in this book are the truth about health, and you can will to accept them, to believe them, and this must be your first step toward getting well. These are the statements you must will to believe. Number 1. There is a thinking substance from which all things are made, and man receives the principle of health, his life, from this substance. Number 2. Man himself is thinking substance, a mind-body permeating a physical body, and as man's thoughts are, so will the functioning of his physical body be. Number 3. If man thinks only thoughts of perfect health, he will cause the involuntary functions of the body to act in the pattern of health, provided he also performs the external functions in accordance with those thoughts. When you will to believe these truths, you must also begin to act upon them. You cannot long retain a belief unless you act upon it. You cannot increase a belief until it becomes faith. And you certainly cannot expect to reap benefits in any way from a belief as long as you act as if the opposite were true. You cannot long have faith in health if you continue to behave like a sick person. If you go on acting sick, you will go on thinking of yourself as sick, and if you go on thinking of yourself as sick, you will remain sick. The first step toward acting externally like a well person is to begin to act internally like a well person. Form your conception of perfect health and reflect on it until it becomes vivid and meaningful to you. Imagine yourself doing everything as a strong and healthy person would do it. Have faith that you can and will act this way. Continue this until you have a bright and vital conception of what health means for you. Not just a vague thought, but a living sense of your healthy self. When I speak of a conception of health, I mean a mental understanding of how a healthy person looks, feels, moves, and behaves. Think of yourself in connection with this conception until you can imagine yourself always acting in the manner of a well person. As I have said in a previous chapter, you may not be able to form a clear mental image of yourself in perfect health, but you can form a conception of yourself as acting like a healthy person. Form this conception and then think only thoughts of health in relation to yourself, and as much as possible in relation to others. When a thought of sickness or disease is presented to you, reject it. You do not fight it, but you do not welcome it to stay. Do not entertain or consider it at all. Meet it by thinking health, by thinking that you are well, and by being sincerely grateful for the health you are receiving. Whenever suggestions of disease are coming thick and fast upon you, and you are in a tight place, fall back upon the exercise of gratitude. Connect yourself with the Supreme. Give thanks to God for the perfect health He gives you, and you will soon find yourself able to control your thoughts and to think what you want to think. In times of doubt, trial, and temptation, the exercise of gratitude is an anchor which will prevent you from being swept away. Remember that the great essential thing is to sever all mental relations with disease and to enter into full mental relationship with health. This is the key to all mental healing, the whole secret. This also explains the great success of Christian Science. More than any other formulated system of practice, it insists that its followers cut all mental relations with disease and identify fully with health. Its healing power lies not in theology, nor in denying matter, but in teaching the sick to ignore disease as unreal, and to accept health by faith as a reality. Its failures are only ever made because its practitioners, while thinking in the certain way, do not eat, drink, breathe, and sleep in the same way. There is no healing power in the strings of words, yet it is still convenient to have central thoughts formulated clearly so they can be repeated as affirmations whenever you're surrounded by an environment which gives you adverse suggestions. When those around you begin to talk of sickness and death, close your inward ears and mentally assert something like the following: there is one substance, and I am that substance. That substance is eternal, and it is life. I am that substance, and I am eternal life. That substance knows no disease. I am that substance, and I am health. Use your will to choose only thoughts of health and shape your environment so that it suggests health. Do not keep about you books, pictures, or other things which suggest death, disease, deformity, weakness, or age. Have only those things which convey the ideas of health. If you encounter anything that suggests illness, a book, a picture, a conversation, withdraw your attention. Turn your mind instantly to your conception of health and your gratitude. Affirm the truth. Use your will to fix your attention upon health, power, joy, vitality, and youth. In a future chapter, I shall touch upon this point again. What I wish to make plain here is that you must think only health, recognize only health, and give your attention only to health, and that you must control thought, recognition, and attention by the use of your will. Do not try to use your will to compel the healthy performance of function within you. The principle of health will attend to that if you give your attention only to thoughts of health. Do not try to exert your will upon the formless to compel it to give you more vitality or power. It is already placing all the power there is at your service. You do not have to use your will to conquer adverse conditions or to subdue unfriendly forces, because there are no unfriendly forces. There is only one force, and that force is friendly to you. It is a force which makes for health. As the author Florence Scovel Shinn put in her book The Game of Life and How to Play It, whenever you resist a situation, you are treating the world as though two opposing powers govern your life. But if you recognize that there is only one power, the power of the divine, then even the most unwelcome circumstance can be reinterpreted as something ultimately working in your favor. Bless the situation rather than fight it. Declare that this too is part of the path that leads you toward greater well-being, even if it appears otherwise. Another mystic taught a similar principle. No matter how near and threatening the problem appears to be, hold to your inner certainty. Stand steady in the conviction that the outcome is already leaning in your favor. True faith is the ability to remain inwardly unmoved, even when appearances seem hostile. Ralph Waldo Trine expressed the law of prosperity, which is just as applicable to health as it is to wealth. When you are in the arms of the bear, even though he is hugging you, look him in the face and laugh, but all the time keep your eye on the bull. If you allow all of your attention to be given to the work of the bear, the bull may get entirely out of your sight. But if you recognize that the power to master conditions lies within yourself, then difficulty cannot dominate you. Instead, it becomes the very means by which prosperity, or in our context, health, emerges. In other words, if you yield to adversity, the chances are that it will master you. But if you recognize in yourself the power of mastery over conditions, then adversity will yield to you and will be changed into prosperity. If, when challenges come, you calmly and quietly recognize them and use the time that might otherwise be spent in regrets, complaints, fears and forebodings, in setting into operation the powerful forces within you, it will soon take its leave. This is the law of prosperity. When apparent adversity comes, be not cast down by it, but make the best of it. Use every single bit of it to make you a stronger individual and pour it back into the world to help other people. Always look forward for better things, for conditions more prosperous, but do not cower away from what is. There is no need to resign yourself to fatalism or defeat. Respond with confidence. Make the best use of the moment and set your mind firmly toward greater good. In doing so, you align yourself with the natural movement of life toward fuller expression and stronger well-being. Everything in the universe wants you to be well. You have absolutely nothing to overcome but your own habit of thinking in a certain way about disease. And you can do this only by forming a habit of thinking in another certain way about health. Man can cause all the internal functions of his body to be performed in a perfectly healthy manner by continuously thinking in a certain way and by performing the external functions in a certain way. He can think in this certain way by controlling his attention, and he can control his attention by the use of his will. He can decide what things he will think about.